Now, Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War / Secretary of Defense / a good offense is also a good defense. He and President Trump called in all the top brass of the military, and it's happening as we speak. We've got some what I think are important clips coming from it. The headline: Trump summons all 900 flag officers to Quantico. Announcement at 11 a.m. So Quantico, it's a Marine base just outside of D.C. is my understanding. So you just imagine like all the military generals are there. This is like it's a really meaningful gathering. Like they never call all the one-star military generals in because like some of them have to fly there from overseas on their combat bases. So this is a big deal. Now, some of what's come from it, I think there's more than meets the eye. We're going to see some clips of what was talked about, and when you see them, you'll probably say, thank God that's happening. I also think there's some other things going on there that we're not going to see via news coverage clips. But starting off, Pete Hegseth set the tone. So here's a short clip of that.
This speech today, as I drink my coffee, this speech today is about people, and it's about culture. The topic today is about the nature of ourselves. Because no plan, no program, no reform, no formation will ultimately succeed unless we have the right people and the right culture.
So that sets the tone. It's all about culture in the military. A few months ago, it was almost a year ago, I had an opportunity to have dinner with a 4-star military general, and he said the most important thing in the military is culture. And shockingly, he said the culture has greatly suffered. Of course, when you get woke initiatives, you get, hey, here's the physical fitness standard, and also here's a drastically reduced physical fitness standard, whether it's for women or men on women's hormones or weak people. So if you can't meet the standard, don't worry. Here's the standard for people that can't meet the standard. And guess what happens to the armed forces? Not only are they physically weak, but what does that do to the culture? What happens to a culture of warriors when you make it important that the Navy puts out drag queen videos? The culture suffers. The military suffers, the strength weakens, and what does that do to our nation's security? You extrapolate a little bit and you understand it is great that Pete Hegseth is, I almost threw up, directly addressing the culture of the military. There's a problem, and he's presenting solutions. Let's go on with what the solutions are. Here we go. Pete, take it away. Over to you.
This administration has done a great deal from day one to remove the social justice, politically correct, and toxic ideological garbage that had infected our department, to rip out the politics. No more identity months, DEI offices, dudes in dresses. No more climate change worship. No more division, distraction, or gender delusions. No more debris. As I've said before, and will say again, we are done with that. This administration.
So, in the military, we're done with that shit. The DEI stuff, the men in dresses, the woke stuff. I mean, DEI in the military is the last thing you'd ever want to do. So his announcement is, we're done with that. Next up, Pete, we're throwing back to you, buddy. Take it away.
With physical fitness and appearance. If the Secretary of War can do regular, hard PT, so can every member of our joint force. Frankly, it's tiring to look out at combat formations, or really any formation, and see fat troops. Likewise, it's completely unacceptable to see fat generals and admirals in the halls of the Pentagon and leading commands around the country and the world. It's a bad look. It is bad, and it's not who we are. So whether you're an airborne ranger or a chairborne ranger, a brand new private or a four-star general, you need to meet the height and weight standards and pass your PT test. And as the chairman said, yes, there is no PT test. But today, at my direction, every member of the Joint Force at every rank is required to take a PT test twice a year, as well as meet height and weight requirements twice a year, every year of service. Also today, at my direction, every warrior across our Joint Force is required to do PT every duty day. Should be common sense. I mean, most units do that already.
That is brilliant. That is brilliant. The no-brainer is doing PT and needing to pass physical fitness requirements and pass them twice a year. That's a no-brainer for soldiers on the battlefield. That is a no-brainer. By the way, those tests are going to be up-leveled. Hear about that in a second. That's a no-brainer. But he's talking to generals. He's saying even the four-star generals will be required to meet weight requirements for their height and maintain a physical fitness standard. Why would that be? The generals aren't on the battlefield most of the time or ever. They're usually in a chair, doing important work, yes, but not needing to be physically fit. Here's what's brilliant about that. It's one thing to say, yeah, soldiers, you guys have to maintain physical fitness standards. While you look at your fat, out-of-shape leaders, what does that do to a culture? It's a huge rip of incongruency. The leaders are the ones that set the tone. The leaders are the guys that the enlisted dudes look up to and learn from, inspired to emulate their badass behavior. This is brilliant. Making sure the leadership of the military is maintaining physical fitness standards. That is wonderful. Otherwise, it's just a do as we say, not as we do mentality. And that is not a good culture. It's not a culture of congruency. And you listen to your leaders not because you admire them, but because you have orders to listen to them. And then that's one thing. But listening to your leaders because you respect them. Look at he's getting after it every day. That is brilliant. Next up. In the name of, life and death situations, there should be a minimum standard. It should be a high standard. And that high standard should be the minimum standard. And if you can't do that, not fit to serve, because this is life and death. Well, what if I'm a woman? What if I'm, I got my arm cut off as part of my gender transition surgery? If you can't meet them, you can't meet them. There's no DEI, political correctness. We're looking to be inclusive. No, a standard is literally meant to be uninclusive. Uninclusive of anyone who can't meet the standard. With the military, it is literally life and death. So let's hear Pete address that.
That are arriving at your commands as we speak and in your inbox. Today, at my direction, each service will ensure that every requirement for every combat MOS, for every designated combat arms position, returns to the highest male standard only. Because
highest male standard? What? Yeah, because that's the standard. And you'll hear him go on. If a woman can meet the standard, great. If she can't, so be it.
This job is life or death.
Yep.
Standards must be met. And not just met, at every level, we should seek to exceed the standard, to push the envelope, to compete. It's common sense. And core to who we are and what we do, it should be in our DNA. Today, at my direction, we are also adding a combat field test for combat arms units that must be executable in any environment at any time and with combat equipment. These tests They'll look familiar. They'll resemble the Army Expert Physical Fitness Assessment or the Marine Corps Combat Fitness Test. I'm also directing that warfighters in combat jobs execute their service fitness test at a gender-neutral, age-normed male standard scored above 70%.
By gender neutral, he's not necessarily referring to that in the sense of a bathroom in San Francisco, but gender neutral as in this is the test. It's based on what we used to call the male standard, the gender neutral test. And that means doesn't matter what your gender is. Here's the test and the standard. You meet it or you don't. If you're a woman, if you're a DEI specialty and you don't meet it, then you don't meet it. Life and death, battlefield, needing to rescue a wounded soldier, needing to perform tactical stuff. The battlefield doesn't lower its standards ever. This is good. This is good. I think we got one more clip of young Pete Hegseth. Let's take it away, Pete.
Very clear about this. This is not about preventing women from serving. We very much value the impact of female troops. Our female officers and...
He might be. I don't know if he's being a little facetious there, but...
NCOs are the absolute best in the world. But when it comes to any job that requires physical power to perform in combat, those physical standards must be high and gender neutral. If women can make it, excellent. If not, it is what it is. If that means no women qualify for some combat jobs, so be it. That is...
My political correct feelings are hurt. Yeah, so be it.
Not the intent, but it could be the result. So be it. It will also mean that weak men won't qualify because we're not playing games. This is combat. This is life or death. As we all know, this is you versus an enemy hell-bent on killing you. To be an effective, lethal fighting force, you must trust that the warrior alongside you in battle is capable, truly physically capable of doing what is necessary under fire. You know, this is the only standard you would want for your kids and for your grandkids. Apply the War Department Golden Rule, the 1990 test, and the E6 test, and it's really hard to go wrong.
I love every drip of that. To anybody who says, well, that's not fair to women or DEI specialties, it's extremely fair to them. It is unfair to put them in a dangerous situation that they're not ready for. It's unfair to soldiers, teammates around them, to have a weak link in the chain that's not even made out of chain. And everyone I've ever talked to in the military, be they enlisted soldier, an officer type, even a general that I've personally talked to, based on what they've said to me, they would be there 100% supporting this and just pulling their hair out. Like, why was it ever not just this way? It used to be the way. Then political correctness. Let's come in and make things better by worsening the situation. But now we're back to this is common sense. It shouldn't have even been a conversation in 2025, but it needed to be, unfortunately, and luckily for our military and therefore our nation, it's a conversation that's now just happened. Now, you might say, like, gosh, this seems dramatic. Why fly in 900 top military brass, taking them from their stations overseas, bringing them all into one spot to hear from Pete Hegseth? This could have been issued in a memo, could have been done a lot easier with a lot less time and man hours devoted to traveling to get there. I think there's two things. One is what we can see, and two, what's going on that we can't see. One is Now everybody's accountable. This was televised. So the military people in upper positions that might have been placed there not on merit but on DEI type standards, previous administrations, they might say, okay, that's what they want us to do. We're not really doing that because I'm in charge of the division over here. There is now a lot of accountability. They saw everybody in attendance, and everybody in attendance saw the world seeing this. It was televised. Therefore, there's a hell of a lot of accountability for everybody to follow these orders. And I love that. Held to a very high level of accountability, because guess what? You're all here and we're televising it. Everyone is seeing you see this and hear this. That's one of the reasons why I think they gathered everyone there in person. They wanted accountability. They wanted rapid action on this is what we're doing and we are implementing this. Now, they're very important changes, so they need high level of accountability. And then the other thing is that I speculate that we're probably not seeing is, I'm guessing there's like other conversations happening that they're not going to televise. Because it does seem, even though it's like, cool, that I can see why they brought everybody in there. I don't know. I don't think they would just bring everybody in for just this message, even though they want high accountability, of course. But I would guess there's some meetings behind the scenes that, they're not going to televise. Because, it's a big deal bringing all the top military people in there. And, what are the meetings behind the scenes? I don't know. Maybe it's you treason, because we're rooting that out now. Comey's indicted. To say there's no corrupt actors within the military ranks would definitely be a statement, and I would guess an improbable statement. Every department of the government we've heard about, including the FBI, CIA, there's corrupt actors in there. Hello, Biden administration, that kind of thing. So maybe they were kind of like, we got you here. We have some things to talk to you about. And it also, it wouldn't surprise me if there's kind of war plans, things in the works that couldn't happen if they're hello, public, this is also what we're doing. I would guess, in other words, there's some top secret stuff happening at these meetings. And by the way, everything we just saw from Pete Hegseth, as important as that is, that could be a diversion because the world is watching. All the military leaders are here, and our enemies would be asking, why are they here? Why are they there? Be our enemies foreign or domestic. Why are the military leaders there? Yeah, we'll show you why we're here. We're televising it. Look, our military has been infiltrated by this woke garbage. We're rooting that out. Okay, that's why they're there. And then you don't. That's the diversion. Then there's the cameras off. No, we're talking. We're gonna go up and take over Canada. We're gonna outflank Canada.